Hello everyone. I hope you're having a great time at the Nursing Division meeting this afternoon. Marcia asked me to present scholarship because I was allowed to attend a conference last month, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to be at the Nursing Division meeting this afternoon. So I wanted to go ahead and make a video to present you the information that I received last month when I was allowed to go to the conference. I was allowed to attend a CNE conference in New Orleans. It was a 2-day event, and I used my Freimeier endowment funds to be able to attend the conference. Iggy presented, and she did a wonderful job, and I feel like I learned a great amount when I was at the conference. Not only, hopefully, did it just a bit prepare me for the difficult CNE exam, but it also was just I felt like it was a really good sort of a comprehensive review of the roles and responsibilities of the nurse educator role. And so I took some notes, and I'm going to go over just a few things with you all that I found beneficial as I was in the conference, and I hope you'll find them as beneficial as well. One of the things that Iggy spoke about pretty in-depthly was the types of learners that we have in college at this time. And when she was talking about the different generations, we've all heard that, she touched on English as second language students. And so I took a couple notes about that. The terminology, the newest terminology for English as second language students are ELL students, and that stands for English Language Learners. She said that the terminology has been changed because now we are having students who are not only fluent in 2 languages, but they are fluent in multiple languages. So they've changed that terminology to ELL now instead of ESL. A couple things that she said about students who are ELL learners is that if you have students who are either have the ability to speak 2 languages or more, that they learn differently than other students do, and part of that is because they are very complex thinkers, and they've had to be complex thinkers so that they can compare and contrast the different languages. And so she said that a lot of these students will have trouble with multiple choice questions because they are complex thinkers and they want to reason all their choices. So one of the solutions that she had, and I feel like we do an excellent job with our ESL students. I know Sarah works very hard, and we have our committee. I did speak about that when I was at the conference, and this was a small group, like there were maybe around 40 to 50 attendees, and so everyone was very impressed with the work that we do on our committee and as a program itself. They loved that we had a committee, and they loved that we followed all of our ELL or ESL students very closely. But one of the things that Iggy suggested, and I believe that we do this, I don't know that we really formally do it, but I do believe that we do it. She said it's very important that we pair our non-ELL students with, students who English is their first language. And I don't really feel like we have a problem with that here at our program, just simply because we don't have a huge amount of numbers or ratios for our ELL learners. So I feel like we do a really good job with our ELL, and from all of the comments and things that I heard at the conference, it reiterated the fact that we do work very hard to retain those ELL students. She did suggest, when she was talking about ELL students, that we allow them to use their technology in the classroom. For instance, if they want to record us, then she said that they should be allowed to do that. And I know that we audio record all of our classrooms anyway. That's just a thought. But she said, they learn differently, and so they should be allowed to use their own technology. And she said encouraging social networking. Most of our classes have Facebook pages, or like they do that themselves. Our students do that themselves, but she felt like that's a good thing as long as it is a learning environment and they're feeding off of each other. So I really feel like that we do a very good job with our ELL students. Along those lines, she also spoke a little bit about students who have disabilities, and she reiterated what we are doing now. She said students who fall under the ADA, American Disabilities Act, they have to have reasonable accommodations. She said, but the student must ask for those accommodations. So it's not just an automatic thing that we give them to them. They have to formally ask for those accommodations. She also reminded us that it's very important that we keep those accommodations and anything having to do with ADA confidential. The next section that we talked about, I thought was pretty interesting. We talked about curriculum, and again, I feel like we do a wonderful job with curriculum. We work very hard to make sure that we're current and that we're using the latest evidence-based practice findings. And she reiterated those things, that our programs need to continuously evolve, because that's so very important. As we're adding new content, we need to be purging as well, and not just continuously adding and not taking away, because it needs to be logical and reasonable as far as the amount of work, and as far as the reality of how much the student can learn. A couple things that she said needs to be incorporated into curriculum that's very important now is human trafficking, and we had a big discussion about that, and I was astounded when I heard from different areas in the country. The table that I sat at had a nurse educator from Atlanta, and also had a nurse educator from New York, and the nurse educator from Atlanta said this was the biggest issue that she is dealing with right now. Is she has some community agencies and things that she's associated with, and she said it literally in the Atlanta region is an epidemic. But Iggy said that we need to start incorporating some element of human trafficking issues in our curriculum. And then the other big thing right now that we need to be incorporating is opioid addiction. So third semester NIP 212, we've just started, so we're right in the middle of doing our evidence-based practice projects, and one of the groups has opioid addiction. So we're really interested to see what they come up with as far as their project. Again, she said we need to be purging content as we're adding content, but those were two specific areas that she said was up and coming and were big, and we needed to put those in our programs. She also said that all programs are expected to assist students in understanding evidence-based concepts, even if there is no formal research course for the program. So I felt like that was wonderful validity for our evidence-based practice project in NIP 212, and then the extension of that is in NIP 215 when they do their teaching projects. So I really felt like that was validity there, that even though these are complex concepts, we do need to keep it very much basic, but they need some exposure to that. That is very important that we do that. Also regarding curriculum, she went over again, she really reiterated the fact that we do, when it comes to the content, like even with disease process and all of that, that we need to make sure that we are getting to the basics. We are training our graduates to be proficient and safe for entry-level practice. So she said, get back to basics. Basic care and comfort, things such as pain, safety, skin, all of those things. She said, we're trying to teach them on such levels that we sometimes are forgetting the basics. So that was just a really huge thing that she discussed in-depthly about the importance of getting back to the basics. Safety and infection control, basic care and comfort, all of those things. And then she also said that every program should have some component of community, that it needed to be discussed early in the curriculum, but it is very important when we talk about population health now, because that's a huge subject. Our OADN conference last year was all geared around population health, and she said we're going to see so much more of that we have to incorporate some kind of community in our curriculum. And then she also touched on the importance of making sure that we incorporate geriatrics throughout, because our population is aging, and it's very important that we think about geriatrics as a specialty and identify that there are specific needs and priorities for the geriatric population. And then finally, one of the big things that we talked about was testing. And again, I really feel like, we spent almost a whole day on the testing procedure, and we went over the p-value, the point by serial, the KR20. We went over all of those things and how to determine whether it's a good question or not, when it needs to be nullified, when we can keep it. It is all really complex, and I have for a long while understood it's hard to make a good test question. It just is, because there's so many factors involved in it. But again, just like all of the other areas, I feel like we're working really hard, and we're doing an excellent job with trying to do our blueprinting and our analysis on our exams. And that is so very important. She said, your analysis from your previous exam needs to be used and utilized for preparation for the new exam. And so I'm sure that all the other semesters are doing that, but in NIB 212 we have really been trying to do that this semester, to just continuously improve our exam questions and our options, and look at those statistics. So I'm not going to really go over anything specifically with you all. I do have a lot of notes on those. If anyone would like to, I'll be happy to print you off my PowerPoint if anyone would like to see my chicken scratching that I did. But we spent pretty much a whole day on that, and she said that the CNE exam, a large part of that was testing and blueprinting and analyzing your exams and things like that. So I thought that was very important, and I did learn a lot. But again, it also just reiterated the fact that we are doing a good job. We're trying really hard, to make our exams good for the students and fair for the students, and according to what our approved test plan for our curriculum is. And the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about is she spent quite a long time on the new NCLEX that is coming up. And I'm not sure if any of you all have been to any other conferences that has already discussed that, but she said it's going to be very, very important that within the next academic year that representatives from from every program starts going to those conferences. The NCSBN is going to be doing a conference, I believe, in August or September, and I apologize, I was going to look that up to tell you the exact date. And the location, I believe it may be in Arizona, but the NCSBN is going to do a conference regarding the new test plan. And it's going to be a major overhaul and a complete change from what we're used to. After the NCSBN does their conference, again, I think it's in August or September of 2019, then Iggy has already got 2 conferences scheduled, like right after that, around like September or October, where she is going to present the information. She is actually going to go to the NCSBN conference, and she has already been doing a lot of investigation about it and a lot of studying up on it. And so she's going to have 2 conferences of her own after she attends the NCSBN conference, and she's going to be doing 2 conferences after that. So that's just a thought. She did say, and everyone is probably aware of this, but that we should be starting to work on preparation for that, because it's going to be such an overhaul, and that the new NCLEX is going to be rolled out no later than 2022. So I hope you found this beneficial, and again, I hope you have a great meeting. I'm sorry I'm not there. If you have any questions, or if you would like my PowerPoint copy on the test analysis and blueprinting, I will be happy to give that to you. Thanks, and have a great day.